Love Manifests Truth focuses on taking our audience through a journey to heal the inner child. We are making the effort to raise our consciousness and to examine the belief systems that have helped shape our perspective of reality. When looking through the eyes of our history and how we are taught to socialize, I see a need for action due to the fear and hurt being manifested on a grand scale. I see this unfolding between the self-sabotaging beliefs we consistently tell ourselves to the crime and violence decaying our society. Healing and understanding of our reality can be done from a mature place of love and empathy, as love is the only driving force for evolution. Healing is done through learning to love and accept ourselves, but in order to do that, we must be willing to strip away the veil to reveal who we are and how we got here. Love Manifests Truth gives us a chance to be vulnerable in open discussion, allowing ourselves to think outside the box rather than just accept what we are told to believe. It is through our healing journey that we will find our path home to our true selves. If this information resonates with you, I invite you to come with an open mind to welcome open discussion with the aim to heal and rediscover self. We will be hosting Love Manifest Truth on the 30th of every month on YouTube at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For our first topic of discussion, we will be talking about love, what society has taught us versus what it actually is. I invite you to love Manifest Truth. The divine within me welcomes the divine within you as we raise our consciousness to welcome the unveiling. Join us.
Hi guys, welcome to another stream. It's the girl Alethea. How you doing? Ree, can you turn on the light for me, please? Where are you? Turn off the other lights. Hi guys, welcome to this stream. It's the girl Alethea, and welcome to Love Manifest Truth. So I should have had my book. So for tonight's topic of Love Manifests Truth, I want to talk about loving yourself from the inside out. That is the topic of tonight. Yeah, I got a little bleach stain. I don't really care. It tastes so freaking hot. Rain is about to fall and the place is so hot. Give me a minute. Turn on the fan, please. Please, turn on the fan. I will not remain here and suffer.
I have to remain and suffer all day without
By choice.
Yeah, because I communicated that, but said that was my choice.
Rion, please.
You're very right. My choice. You're right. This is my choice.
Anyway. You see my book? Can you have it's right up there. Proper planning and preparation prevents poor performance. And I haven't learned how to. Oh, Rion. Thank you. Blessings. Alright, so as I said before, the topic of tonight is loving yourself from the inside out, right? Now, I came across this because I looked for a group, an organization that I remember was very popular in schools. Peace and Love in Schools, PALS, right? And I don't hear much of it about it. No, once upon a time I used to hear about it a lot, it being in schools. I mean, you'd see it in the newspaper, you know, promoting high self-esteem, or mainly non-violence in schools. So I looked at the sites, I looked it up and googled them, and I found them, and I'm like, okay, they're still in operation, because I did not hear anything about them for years. And I'm like, they're still in operation, but is it that I'm not in the circles to hear about it? Because once upon a time, you didn't have to be in the circles. You always heard about PALS. And especially with the amount of violence that was taking place in schools after the pandemic, after children got released back into school. I was like, this is a program that we need. Especially because a lot of children in Jamaica, during the pandemic, they joined a lot of gangs and didn't want to return back to school. They didn't want to return to school. Right? So I figured this is something that is needed. Whatever information they were absorbing while they were being homeschooled, it obviously wasn't anything good. And we need institutions, we need groups and organizations that's like that. But anyway, when I went on the site for PALS, Peace and Love in Schools, while they promoted, you know, ways how to deal with children who are violent and so forth, I didn't see anything that spoke about self-love, which I found interesting. Because, I mean, as far as I can see, everything begins with self. Everything, no matter what you're dealing with in society, everything starts with self. And sorry if you're hearing a cat meowing. There is a cat downstairs. I'm not gonna get into it, but there's an outside cat who's at my door who keeps meowing for hours. So have fun times. Anyway, yeah. So everything that you can think of as in society, any issue that you may have in your own environment begins with self. You can't fix the situation on the outside if you don't deal with what is on the inside. And a lot of children, I realize, you know, as children, we aren't taught how to deal with our emotions. You know, you're taught what's a good word and bad word, what, you know, that violence, certain actions are wrong and so forth, but you're not taught how to handle your emotions, how to deal with them, how to resolve conflict, not just on the outside but internally. If you don't deal with that, you're gonna have the same actions being repeated if you don't fix, if you don't deal with, if you don't heal what is on the inside. So there's a song that I wanted to start off the stream with. I wanted to share that touches deeply on what it is that I am addressing. It's a very old song. If you're not in Jamaica, you probably you more than likely wouldn't know the song. It was very popular when I was younger, but I wanted to share it with you before diving in. And all my shit is here. Oh my shit. Alright. Let me see if I can find the song. It took me a while to find this song, honestly. But I found it. Um, JC. Hold on, where's my phone? Really? Have you seen my phone? Oh, that's right. When I got home, I ignored my phone and hopped on Unite to play. But yeah, I cannot start the stream without playing this song. Hi, welcome to the stream. Invictus, well gone. Good night. Good night, sir. JC. I didn't even know this lady's name, but I love her music. You know, one of those singers that you hear when it is that you're young, you're not really in touch with the names of people, but you hear songs and you really love it. And that's me. And this is one of those songs. So this is a song I wanted to play that touches on it.
I can be anything, anything I wanna be. Respect me if I believe in myself. I won't let anyone else turn me away from the right. I will keep my goals inside. Parents and teachers try to show us the way. Hey, they may not be perfect, but we should listen to what they say. Hey, older and wiser, they can give some good advice on how to respect yourself and live a happy life. I gotta believe in me, 'cause if I have self-esteem, I can be anything, anything I wanna be. Respect me if I believe.
I'm not touching that.
I won't let anyone else turn me away from the right. I will keep my goals inside. Oh, could be getting better, could be adults of tomorrow. Oh, if we love and respect ourselves, we will pass it on and see. Loving from the inside out, we'll treat others equally. I gotta believe in me, 'cause if I have self-esteem, I can be anything, anything I wanna be. Respect me if I believe in myself. I won't let anyone else turn me away from the right. I will keep my goals inside.
Enough respect is due to even little children chewing our chat, but respect from someone else. But the respect we have to reset. Each and every one of we have the potentiality to be anything we would like to be. If we put our mind to it and keep trophy and fit, we're big and we're broad. We have no
I gotta
limits.
believe in me, 'cause if I have self-esteem, I can be anything, anything I wanna be. Respect me if I believe in myself. I won't let anyone else turn me away from the right. I will keep my goals inside. Believe in me, respect me. Believe in me, respect me. Love it from the inside out. Loving me is getting all about. Love it from the inside out. Starting with myself and someone else. Love it from the inside out.
So that's the song that has been playing in my head from the week start. Right? And everything starts with self, and it spreads. You know, I like to think of us as seeds that grows, you know, with everything, even with plants, everything in society. It starts from a seed, from the tiniest thing, from the tiniest star, from the tiniest light, and it grows and it evolves, and that's us. So you cannot deal with a situation that your or external situation by dealing with it externally. You have well, that hasn't been working out quite well. You have to go from the foundation. You have to begin with self and let it take flight, make it grow from there. Right? So this song definitely spoke to me. It's not just even children. I realize that even as adults, we need that. A lot of us, as far as I can see, are kind of stuck in that kind of childlike mentality, even though we have responsibilities and, you know, we have to grow up in a certain way. But at the same time, I feel like whatever trauma that we've experienced as children, whether, you know, at whichever different stages, because the trauma that we've experienced on this planet as a society, that isn't just from when you're children. There are different situations that, you know, that allow us to experience it even as adults, whether it be heartache, whether it's embarrassment through a job, or a loss of a loved one, seeing someone being killed right in front of you, whatever it is. We've experienced it. And dealing with self-esteem, dealing with or even healing, it's not just from when, it's not just a matter of, you know, learning to deal with it as children. We need that as adults as well. Even as children, we aren't taught how to love ourselves or how to deal with our emotions or heal from trauma. Before I started this podcast tonight, I was thinking that there are two ways to empty the mind, right? One of them is through trauma, or rather, I don't want to say necessarily to empty the mind, because that is a part of it, but to reprogram the mind is, and of course, you empty the mind through either trauma or by going within. Bear with me, right? So there are different ways in which to reprogram the mind, or to start. And one of the ways is to empty the mind. What it is that you program it from there is up to you. What path you want to go on is up to you from there, what you want to program it. And you can either go through the traumatic experience, and which we've all gone through, but not healing, and then having all that toxicity into our vessel. It poisons us, right? It's the information that you're downloading. Is it healing you, or is it killing you slowly, both physically and spiritually? You have to be considerate of that. So when it is that you're going through, because I know I went through certain things, and instead of facing it head on, you know, you're feeling all that hurt, you're feeling all that pain, and you just want to get away from it. You want to, you know, run away from yourself from feeling like that, and you have those emotions built up in you, having nowhere to go. You either express it through music, but the fact is, you need to express it. How you express it, how you deal with it is important. And many of us do not go within. We don't face look at the situation, look at where we went wrong. It's not, we of course we always try to point fingers and this person did this to me, that person, you know, they shouldn't have done this, like that person always pointing fingers, not realizing, not taking into account that we had a part to play in our own trauma, right? Or accepting certain certain beliefs, or ignoring the signs, not thinking certain things through, making excuses for the situation rather than looking at it for what it is and accepting it for what it is, and thinking it through as to whether or not this is the path I want to go on. And it's not until it is that you reach a certain destination where you experience that traumatic experience and you're like, I never saw it coming, you know, I thought he loved me, or I thought, you know, this would have happened. Like the signs were all there, but we walked into it making excuses for the situation rather than facing up to it, rather than observing and looking at it and accepting it for what it really is. You know, it's a learning experience. Everything is a learning experience, but we have to recognize that we have to hold ourselves accountable as well for the experiences that we have, based on the decisions that we make as well. So in terms of loving yourself from the inside out, now I wanted to, you know, prepare your mind and look at that situation, what it is that we put ourselves through when it is that we're going through a traumatic experience. Because oftentimes what ends up happening is that our thoughts end up being very toxic. You know, so a lot of us, we end up blaming ourselves in the worst way. Whether we are I'm looking at us being, not as children, because even as children we have our own toxic thoughts, right? But even as adults, how we express ourselves when we're going through that trauma, or the information that we're downloading, that we're telling ourselves, we're absorbing all of that frequency, all of that information, all of that data, and you're creating a very toxic environment. And it's very difficult to experience the good or appreciate the good if it is that you are so much in your head, listening to the ego, and all the ego is telling you is all these negative things about yourself, about the situation. You're in your head, you're not thinking. There's no balance, there's a lot of imbalance. And whatever it is that you are thinking, whatever it is that you are consistently consuming, being closed off and having those toxic thoughts, you are also attracting toxic people as well, people who are in the same vibration as you are. You know, as I said before in the last stream, like attracts like. You know, sometimes it's not even necessarily like attracts like, but sometimes other people see something in you that they need for themselves. They know that within themselves that they're, let's say, quote unquote fucked up, or going through that traumatic experience every day, because people in that state of mind are reliving the past every day. They're using those experiences, those emotions, holding on to it every day, and that is what governs their experience. Right? So you are more than likely going to attract, you know, people who are on the same frequency as you, but oftentimes the soul needs to heal. So if it is that it sees someone who is let's say for lack of a better term, the opposite of what they are, or they see something in that person that they need, that they figure would help them to heal, they are more likely to be attracted to that. I used to have the idea that um, that maybe you can help me to become a better person. As seeking outside validation, seeking outside assistance to become a better person. When well, yes, that can, but the true healing doesn't come from outside; it comes from inside. Being with yourself and observing the situation for yourself. And a lot of times what ends up happening is we end up hurting those very same people who we figure whose light we're attracted to in the first place. So it's a battle between the heart and the mind, because on a spiritual level you are so out of balance. It's internally, but it's like you have a conflict between the mind and the heart, between the brain and the heart, when they're supposed to work in conjunction with each other. I recently, because I'm starting to learn more about chakras, which is on the spiritual side of us, each and every one of us. It's a part of our makeup, our biological and spiritual makeup. And I found someone, and when she described the what's the word? She described evidence of what a closed throat chakra looks like, and when she described it, it described me to a T. Being in your head, being unsure of yourself, having a hard time expressing yourself. The whole I have it written down, but I'm just sharing a little bit with you. And I figure that's what happens with a lot of us. That's what happens where trauma is concerned. You end up being very closed. You end up blocking that throat chakra, or your voice, which connects the brain and the heart, which have to work in conjunction. It's like the chimney that connects the two, along with the other chakras, right? Other main chakras. But these are important pieces in order to help you function at your most optimal level, to think, and be in alignment with your true self. If that makes any sense to you. It makes sense to me, but yeah, I'm trying to break it down as best as I can. But your thoughts, your beliefs are something that you have to be very cognizant of. You have to be more aware of how it is that you deal with certain situations when you're going through that heartbreak, when you're going through that embarrassment, when you're going through that anxiety, is important, rather than seek outside influence to deal with the situation, which usually ends up very it's more harmful than good. It's usually best to go within and find ways to express your anger, express healthy ways to deal with it. Be honest with yourself and the situation. And it takes strength to do it. And a lot of times we feel weak, or we are at our most vulnerable at that time, especially when you're going through deep heartache. And oftentimes you'll realize that you always have the vultures coming around to feast on that vulnerability. Right? I remember talking to a guy friend and he was like, yeah, you know, that girl, when when tis that a girl has a guy friend, he's just waiting on that time when she gets her heart broken, and he's right there just to pick up the pieces. You know, he's just there waiting to jump in the moment. You know, he's been preparing for this, you know, being that shoulder she can lean on, being that best friend on the side. And you catch her at her most vulnerable moment where she has let her guard down, and it's like your mind isn't there. You want to escape, and at that point that person is your escape route. Some people use sex as an escape route to get away from feeling that pain, because during that time where you're feeling pleasure, you're no longer thinking all those negative toxic thoughts that's in your head. But that sex within itself is lost. It has no real true genuine emotions. It's more toxic than anything, and it's more likely to destroy than to help you grow. So I wouldn't even use that. I wouldn't even see that as a healthy way of dealing with it. It's very toxic, and it only makes you sink deeper. You know, other ways in which people deal with that in toxic ways, they turn to drugs. They become very violent, and these things can only sink you deeper and deeper into a very low frequency, into a very toxic mindset, and you end up feeling like, why is this happening to me? Not realizing it's the way you're dealing with the situation that's causing you more anxiety, more pain, and it's just piling up because this is what you're consistently attracting because of your mindset, because you are not in alignment with yourself. It's everything that you are doing, what you feed your mind, how you deal with these situations, it's leading you down a path. What path you go on is really comes down to how you deal with the situation, whether you deal with it from an external place or internal. Internal is always best. We're loving yourself from the inside out. You know, taking time to be by yourself. Stop going to other people asking for their advice. Because in all honesty, as much as there are people who may have great advice, most do not. And the person doesn't necessarily know how you feel. I mean, I can go through a heartbreak, and you can go through heartbreak, but both of us have different perspectives, different beliefs, or have different feelings, have different needs or emotions, that the way how you deal with it may not necessarily be the way how I deal with it. But the point is that you need to deal with it from a healthy perspective, not a toxic one. And oftentimes when you're going through a traumatic experience, when you're in that state of mind, you're not thinking clearly. So rather than seeking external counsel, it's best to seek internal. Our Creator gave us everything that we need. He finished making us. It's not like we came into this on this planet. We weren't manifested on this planet unfinished. We are given everything that we need. We may not understand it based on certain circumstances. A lot of us do not recognize who we are, but the point is, we are equipped with everything that we need from the inside out. So, other ways in which you can love yourself from the inside out are the words that you tell yourself, right? The things that you tell yourself. being thankful, being observant of the blessings you have in your life, and being thankful every day. Don't tell yourself that you're good for nothing. Don't tell yourself that, it was my fault. The blaming game on yourself, whether somebody else or yourself, it doesn't help the situation. It doesn't help the situation, the blaming game. You can face up to the situation for what it is. Recognize where you were wrong. Recognize the situation you were in. And come from a place of not being judgmental. That's another thing I would want to touch on as another point. But looking at yourself, looking at the situation, facing up to it without being judgmental, without blaming, without criticizing yourself, or criticism. Because those emotions come from a dark place. It comes from the ego. It doesn't come from a place of love. It doesn't come from a place of respecting yourself in any way. Right? So, yeah. When it is that you're going through that state of mind where you just feel heartbroken, or whether it's through the heart or the mind, both, yeah, take some time to be by yourself. Try to be around in an environment that doesn't encourage you to feel that way. Be around people who have a high vibration, who will make you laugh. Friends and family members who will help to make you laugh, not necessarily get away, but because you don't want to run away from the hurt. You want to face up to it. Because running away from it, really, it doesn't help. It just makes it worse, to be honest. It makes it worse because you can't run from yourself. And I honestly feel that most of us here, it's like we're running away from ourselves, trying to run away from the situation, but you need to face up to it. You need to deal with it. So that it is that you can let go of those emotions, let go of that traumatic experience, rather than carrying it around with you. How much weeks, months, years. This thing happened to you how many years ago? But somehow, sometimes it just takes something to trigger you to start talking about it. And it's when it says that you start talking about that experience, it's almost like you're going through that experience right then and there, in that moment, even though it happened years ago, because you're still holding on to those emotions, still holding on to that memory. You didn't heal, you didn't learn from it, and so you're doomed to repeat it as well. You're more likely doomed to repeat it. Come from a place of empathy. Stop being harsh on yourself. The words, the things that I used to tell myself, and yeah, you will find me using myself as an example, because hell, what better perspective to get it from, right? But the things that I used to tell myself consistently, not just as an adult, but even as a child, and it just grew up with that, and it builds a toxic environment. Check it out. A lot of persons who have a lot of negative self-talk, you'll hear them expressing it about someone else. They are telling themselves the very same thing. They are their worst critic, and they're very toxic, not just on a physical level but a spiritual level, because they have not dealt with that. And they will end up having a lot of illnesses. So illness or dis-ease of the body. There's also dis-ease of the mind as well. And it's or actions or words are a reflection of that. whatever is on the inside is a reflection of whatever is on the outside is a reflection of what's on the inside. In everything that you do, everything that you say, because we are beings. It is our natural right, it's our natural ability, gift to express. But whatever it is that you're expressing is whatever is happening internally. Right? So yeah, a lot of the times when persons, I realize that there are persons who are like that, who are more, or who are very judgmental, who love to criticize and put down others. I take it with a grain of salt because I realize that these are very hurt people who have not healed from whatever experiences that they've had. And it's like coming from that place of understanding, because I was like that and still learning about myself. I'm able to have empathy towards them, even though yes, words hurt, but it's a lot easier to release those emotions that's attached to their hurtful words or toxicity, because I can come from a place of understanding, empathy, because those persons don't have that kind of empathy towards themselves or understanding as well. So yeah, loving yourself from the inside out affects everything. Though that song stated, I respect myself, I respect me, I believe in me, I respect me. And when it is that you're in that state of mind, when it is that you are in that toxic state of mind where you are consistently judging yourself so harshly, and you're telling yourself how you're worthless, you're of no good, oh, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, you know, I can't, I you know, you tell yourself the whole I, me. But all those I situation, things that you're telling yourself is nothing good. You know, you don't believe in yourself. And also, you will realize the decisions that we make for ourselves when we're in that state of mind shows that we don't respect ourselves. The environment or the situations we put ourselves in is a reflection that we don't respect ourselves. How can you when you're in that toxic state of mind? You know, and this goes for both male and female. It doesn't matter your gender. You're imbalance. You're out of balance with yourself, both physically and spiritually. Just based on how it is that you deal with it. Because as I said, trauma, the experience of trauma opens up the mind for reprogramming. But how you reprogram yourself is a matter of how you deal with the situation, the information that you're downloading in order to deal with that situation. You know, is this information that's going to heal me, or is this information that is going to drown me into more toxicity? Is this information that's going to hurt me, not just on a physical level but a spiritual level as well? Is this information going to pull positive people towards me, or is it going to pull negative, toxic people towards me? Because that frequency, that vibration, that path that you're on in order to deal with the situation opens up the door for whichever path that you want to take. It opens up what it is that you attract to you. You know, it's kind of, how should I put it? It's like you have a seed, and it's like you're attracting more of whatever it is that you want. However it is that you deal with the situation, whether it's on a toxic, from a toxic perspective based on information you're downloading, or if it's on a healthy, from a healthy perspective, you're always going to attract more of that, whatever it is, whatever path it is that you're on. So if it is from a toxic environment, if it's from a toxic perspective, or in a toxic way in which you're dealing with that trauma or that situation, it's gonna feel like it's getting worse, because it affects the way affects the decisions that you make. It affects your behavior. You probably won't think anything of it, because you're attracting other people, like people who are similar to you. I tell you, the soul wants to heal. You want to heal on a spiritual level, just like how the body, it's natural for the body to heal from the inside out. Your soul, you, that person who, when you close your eyes, you're still conscious of everything that's around you. That person, that when it is that you sleep, you're still conscious. You're still working. That person wants to heal as well. Loving yourself from the inside out. And you need to give yourself a chance to do that. You need to give yourself a chance to do that. Spend time with yourself. If it helps, and I know this helps, especially being in that weakened, I don't want to say weakened, but in that state of mind when you feel that you are at your lowest, it helps to keep a journal. Write down what it is that you're feeling. Even if it's to talk, even if it's to have somebody who's willing to just sit and listen to you. But find a healthy way to express it, to get it out, rather than keep it bottled up inside, poisoning you. Poisoning your mind, poisoning your body, poisoning you on every level, rather than keep it bottled up or dealing with it. Because remember, it has to come out in one way or the other, It has to. And rather than trying to run away from yourself, run away from the emotions, because you no longer want to feel that pain and that hurt. Even if you're going to try and do that and you say you don't want to talk about it, it's going to come out. It's natural for you to try and express that in one way or the other. And the more it is that you try to ignore it, is the more it comes out in a way that is not beneficial to you. It comes out in a way that's not beneficial to you, because now you're in your head with the ego, listening to everything that ego is saying, which is the worst place to be, because it really it doesn't serve you in your best interest. The ego does not serve you in your best interest. If I'm saying that right, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. It's not coming from, you're not dealing with the situation from a place of love. You're dealing with the situation from a place of fear, anger, hate. All these words, think about the characteristics of hate, fear, anger. It's nothing good. It's very toxic. So rather than try to run away from those emotions, face up to them. Look at them, stare them in the face, look at them deep in the eyes. I'm like, listen, this is a situation. I'm hurting right now, and it's painful as a motherfucker. It hurts. But I need to look at it. I need to learn from this situation rather than run from it. I need to learn from it. So I can look at what mistakes I made, so I can correct them and not make them again. So I can attract something different. You have men and women who will say, oh, them a dog, all men are dogs, and all females are bitches, and them are some wicked, evil, because you're attracting these people who are like you, who are going through similar trauma, people who have not dealt with their trauma. and who are making similar decisions just like you, not realizing like, yeah, you're attracting this because of how you deal with the situation. As I said before, it can go both ways. In terms of you are attracting, like attracts like, because there are different parts to us, there are different sides to us. We're not just black and white, and you know, we are not like that. But you have to remember, it's not just about like attracts like. There are times when you see something within that person, within someone else, that, you know, perhaps the good in that person can rub off on me and I can heal. Your spirit, your soul, you is longing, is needing to heal, and so it's attracted to that light. It's kind of like a moth to a flame. You're attracted to that. You know, we are connected in so many ways that we are so much alike, all of us. In so many ways, we don't even realize it. Whether the person that hurt you, you're like, oh, I'm nothing like that person. And like, yeah, you are in so many ways. That's why you attracted that person in the first place, you know. But once it is that you're able to understand yourself on that level and recognize that no one is perfect in terms of how they deal with the situation, but your effort, your intentions are what matter. So what measures you can do to help yourself deal with the situation from a healthy perspective, loving yourself from the inside out? Look at ways in which you can express yourself in a healthy way. Like, as I said before, the words that you say to yourself. If it helps, I know sometimes people have a hard time finding positive words, right? You're so used to saying all these negative things about yourself and about other people that it seems hard to find all the positive, right? So you can write, or when it is that you're in that mental state of mind, it's kind of hard. So once it is that you've cooled down and you have gone internally, spend time with yourself, start writing down words, affirmations, some people call it, but yeah, positive words that describe yourself. You have to actively make the effort to observe the things that are a blessing in your life. Whether it's you have a roof over your head, you have shoes on your feet, you actually have food on the table, you actually have other people, friends and family around you that love you, that you may be overlooking because you are in such a toxic state of mind that you are more likely to overlook the blessings that are in your life because you're in that toxic state of mind. It can be difficult, I do understand, but take the time. Even some people like myself, because I know I went through it, go on YouTube, look at words of affirmation. You can find words, positive words that describe you. Because if it is that you're overlooking the external blessings that's in your life, you're also not observing the good that you are, the awesome qualities about you. You're ignoring that, you're overlooking it because you're in that state of mind. So yeah, take the time, write it down, and repeat it to yourself until what is it? There's a saying that if you repeat a lie so many times, it will eventually become truth. Well, in this situation, you're repeating the truth until you finally recognize it and believe it for yourself. So you're flipping the script, actually telling yourself all the awesome things that are truthful about you, that for whatever reason you had a hard time looking at it, observing it, recognizing and appreciating how valuable you are. When it is that you appreciate and recognize how valuable you are, it's a lot easier to deal with the hurt or the trauma. It's a lot easier to let go of those emotions, to let go of the past, and to actually heal. Because the whole point of you loving yourself from the inside out is to heal, to recognize your value, to appreciate you, that or creator, this awesome machine, this awesome natural intelligence, the original, that our creator or source has created. Being in that toxic mindset, there is no way that you're gonna see that. You have to see your way out. Sometimes we just need a little light to shine for us to really see and let that light grow. But it has to come from a place of love. It has to. There's no way you're gonna get you're gonna come out of that from a toxic perspective or mindset or vision. There's no way. You cannot heal and love yourself 100% from a toxic mindset, from a toxic environment. You can't. Of course, every school, all these institutions have it where you have the guidance counselor, and they will, people, even as adults, we do therapy. And you will deal with the situation, or, let's look at it from state of mind as a child. You go to school and you might go to guidance class, and they're talking about self-love, and then talking about all these lovely things to help prompt yourself and so forth. But when you're going home, you're going back into that same toxic environment. Your mind reverts back to that. You may have one class, one session, but there's no repetition. There is no consistency in keeping yourself in that positive state of mind. You're going right back into that toxic environment, that unhealthy environment that is poisoning you. And it feels like, I was at school and I took one step forward, and I go home and I'm taking 5 steps backwards, because I'm going right back in that situation. And especially if you're not applying what it is that you learned to deal with your emotions, to deal with the trauma, to build yourself, you're not repeating, you're not implementing and applying that on a day-to-day basis, you're more likely to go right back, revert. So it is repetition and recognition of yourself. That healing process takes time. Be patient with yourself. In this society, especially being in the service industry, everybody is, I want it now, I want to get it done now, and if it is that they can't get it done now, they're going to give up. You can't afford to give up on yourself. You can't afford to give up on yourself. If you recognize how valuable each and every one of us is, how you are, how valuable, how you're worth more than any material thing. Gold, like, that's nothing. Nothing. You yourself have worth. Right? If you recognize that, trust and believe, like, no matter what anybody else tell you, whatever judgment they want to put on you and tell you, any of the lies about yourself, which is really about them, but I'm not going to stray from the topic. But anybody want to come to you and say, you stay like this, you're mean, you're disgusting, you're this. I'm like, if you know better, there is nothing that anybody else can tell you, and you hold on to those words, it roll off your back, because you know better. You know better. If somebody comes to you and tells you any form of information, let's say that the rain is falling outside, but you know very well that the rain's not falling outside. You know the truth. You just ignore it. You take it with a grain of salt. I'm like, why is this person lying to me? I'm like, whatever. And you ignore it. It's easy to ignore it because you know that it's a lie. You know who you are. That's why they say it's important to know thyself. I know, understand that we catch a lot of emotions based on our experiences. We catch a lot of emotions and vibrations based on the things that people say, the words that they use. But when it is that you recognize how valuable you recognize the truth of yourself and your situation, you can take it with a grain of salt, and like, that information is not for me because I know it's not true. That's why I say it's good to spend some time with yourself. Get away from the screen. I understand, yeah, we are in the age of technology where it is rampant, especially with everything being computerized. Everything. Like, we have strayed away from everything organic. Everything. Even our food, which is poisoning us. Right? The processed food and all these other chemicals that we keep putting into our body and on our body. But you need to find that, how should I put it? The point is, what I'm saying is that you just need to spend time by yourself. Even if it's in nature, even if it's to ground yourself. When was the last time you walked barefoot outside in the grass? Right? Get connected with yourself. Spend some alone time. And I realize a lot of people don't like silence. I don't know what's up with that. Is it we're so used to all the noise and confusion? Well, so there are times when you just need to stop the voices in your head. Stop listening to the ego. Breathe in some air, from clean, fresh air. Get outside and touch something that's organic. You know, be at peace with yourself. If you don't have no peace with yourself, you can't have no peace outside. That is a guarantee. And with the ego keep chitter-chattering in your head consistently, no wonder why a lot of us are confused. We can't think straight because you keep listening to the ego. You keep listening to the chitter-chattering, the monkey mind, if you want to call it that. I keep saying it. We are finished made. We well, I shouldn't say we are finished made. We are perfectly made. And coming from love, we are coming from love. We are an extension of love, of that higher frequency, of that higher vibration, of that higher energy. You can't heal with confusion. You can't heal from you can't heal from confusion or hatred or fear. You can't run from yourself, no matter how much you try. Running from whatever hurt you, whatever you experienced, it's not going to help you. It does more harm than good. But we need, in order to do that, you need to do it from a place of love. So fill your mind with words of love about yourself. Hi, welcome to the stream. Yeah, it has to come from a place of love, a place of empathy, and being non-judgmental. You know, and trust and believe. If you are able to do this for yourself, you are more likely to have better experiences with other people around you. And those who are not in vibration, who are not in alignment with that frequency that you're on, in that those who are not coming from that state of mind are more likely to be repelled. They're more likely not to like you, or but they're more likely to be repelled. It's kind of like well, probably this is a bad analogy. I don't know. But you ever have rotten fruit? Wait, you have a bunch of fruit, and you have one that starts to go bad. No, that's not probably not a good one in terms of what I want to say. I'm always fumbling over these analogies. Anyway. But yeah, they're either more likely to either be attracted to that if you're on that positive path, right? Another person, if they're not like that, or if they're not on that similar path, they're more likely to either be attracted to that, realizing that they too need to heal, and perhaps this is someone who can help me. Just me being in their presence, in their environment, I can heal. Because the soul knows what it needs to heal. Whether you are conscious of it or not. It knows what it recognizes, it knows how to recognize what it needs to heal. It's just for us to take the initiative in order to make the decision to do so. Right? But it's, as I said before, it's either they'll be attracted to that and they will change, or both parties will repel each other because they cannot function in the same environment. There will be friction. So is either somebody going to change and be on the same frequency as the other person, so they will actually, you will see them kind of, merging in terms of, but there will be change. That's the point. There will be change from a healthier perspective, from a more positive perspective, or they will repel each other. Yeah. But yeah, loving yourself from the inside out. Respect me. Respecting yourself, loving yourself, attracting more love into your life. Attracting love into your life starts with you loving yourself. I wanted to share something I learned today, or I was having a conversation with a friend, and his wife is pregnant, right? And I was expressing how I'm happy for him. I'm really happy for him. But yeah. But he was telling me of her experience being pregnant, and how certain products and food that we absorb, how it affects the gender of the baby, how it affects everything about the baby. And it's amazing. He realized how her body was rejecting certain things, or even the smell of certain things she couldn't stand. The body was rejecting it. It considered certain smells, certain chemicals, certain foods to be toxic to the body. The baby doesn't care. Baby cares about its survival, not necessarily about the mother, but it cares about its survival. So it will take what it needs from the mother in order to survive. If the mother is, or any part of the mother is hurt, or is lacking something that it needs in order to survive, it will push that out. It will give the mother that environment what it needs in order to survive. So we come into this world, before we even come into this world, we loved ourselves. Not necessarily the mother or anybody else. ourselves. Everything starts with love. Taking care of yourself. Practicing proper hygiene. Giving yourself everything that you need in order to function at your most optimal level is a part of loving yourself. The foods that you eat, the information you consistently download, frequently download every day, is either hurting you on a physical and spiritual level, or it's healing you. It's helping you to evolve. That's one of the reasons why I say take breaks away from the computer, away from the screen. Because whether or not you are conscious of it, it is affecting you. Alright? The music you listen to, the words that you consistently hear on a day-to-day basis, you are downloading, you are absorbing all of that. Be cognizant of the things that you put on your skin with all those chemicals. Your body isn't made to process all of that. Naturally, it isn't. So it's going to try its best to fight off. You're making the body overwork itself, trying to heal, because it naturally is. I mean, we're born with an immune system. The body has an immune system that works perfectly. You don't need the pharmaceutical industry. You really don't. Our Creator made us perfectly. The body is perfectly designed. You really don't need any pharmaceutical industry or any pills or anything like that. You feed the body what it needs in order to survive, because everything that is meant to feed the body in order for it to survive is already provided freely on this planet by our Creator. Right? But you're feeding the body what it does, something that is foreign, something that is alien to it, because it wasn't designed to absorb this, to process this. And so it's trying to deal with it as best as it can. So we end up with a lot of cancer and other illnesses that you really can't explain. But the body is just in dis-ease. Dis-ease. And so is the mind. Remember, anything that you're absorbing, anything that you're digesting, mentally, physically, whether it's through the food that you eat, the music you listen to, the things that you consistently watch, the information you download on a day-to-day basis, you're actively making the decision on what path you want to go on what it is that you attract into your life, and whether or not you want to be healthy or whether you want to be sick. But everything starts with self, loving yourself. You came into this world, before you even came into this world, you loved yourself. Don't stop loving yourself. Reconnect with that self. It's still there. It's still there. You just have to consciously, actively make the decision to reconnect to yourself. You know, get away from other people sometimes to spend some time with yourself. You know, all those outside influences, get rid of them. Go internally. Oh, close your eye, shut your eye. You know, and breathe. I recognize that when it is that you breathe deeply and look internally, it's like the voices stop, the thoughts stop. I don't know how to explain it, but it happens. It does work. And when I'm in that state, it's like I tell myself, really nothing else matters. Whatever someone said, whatever hurt you felt, like it really don't matter. You separate yourself from it for a moment, for a time, and you're at peace. You have to find a peace within yourself in order to heal. You have to. As I said, you are worth it. You are so worth it. What time is it now? Oh shit. It's 10:18. gym time. Mayup. Yeah. Baby. Are you sleeping? Okay, I guess no gym time. We're not playing gym? It's 10:18. We still can't go gym.
I know.
Don't play with me, man. But yeah. I feel like playing that song again. I'm gonna play that song again. Yeah, so I'll leave this song with you. It's very much a song made for children, but I feel it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are. Every one of us needs to take a page out of this song, needs to apply the lyrics, the lessons in this song. We need to apply it to ourselves. It don't matter your gender, no matter what sex organ you have, no matter who you think you might be. We all need to apply this to ourselves. So I'm just gonna leave this with you. I need to leave. So, and thank you for joining me. If you stayed, if you like what you heard, and you think you can learn something about yourself. Don't worry, the screams will get better. How I express myself. Yeah, I'll get better. But thank you for joining me, and yeah, I will be here on. Hopefully I'll be here on Thursday, but I will definitely be here on Friday, back for more Love Manifest Truth. Until then, I'm your host, Alethio, and I'll see you another time. Enjoy the rest of your night. Bye. Woo!
Believe in me, as if I have self-esteem. I can be anything I wanna be. Respect me if I believe in myself. I don't let anyone else turn me away from the rise. I will keep my goals inside. Parents and teachers,
I love this girl.
try to show us the way.
Hey,
They may not be perfect, but we should listen to what they say.
hey.
Older and wiser, they can give some good advice on how to respect yourself and live a happy life. I believe in me, as if I have self-esteem. I can be anything I wanna be. Respect me if I believe in myself. I won't let anyone else turn me away from the right.
I see a notification. I'm not clicking on it. But yeah, turn on imported extensions.
Busy getting ready to be adults of tomorrow. If we love and respect ourselves, we will pass it on and see. Loving from the inside out, we'll treat others equally. I gotta believe in me, 'cause if I have self-esteem, I can be anything I wanna be. Respect me if I believe in myself. I won't let anyone else turn me away from the right. I will keep my goals inside.
Enough respect is due to even little children. Chewing our chat, but respect from someone else. But the respect we have to yourself. Each and every one of we have the potentiality to be anything we would like to be. If we put your mind to it and keep trophy and fix. We're big and we're broad, we have no
I
limits.
gotta believe in me, 'cause if I have self-esteem, I can be anything I wanna be. Respect me if I believe in myself. I won't let anyone else turn me away from the right. I will keep my goals inside. Believe in me, I respect me. I believe in me. Respect me. Love me from the inside out. Starting with you, spreading all about. Loving from the inside out. Starting with myself and someone else. Loving from the inside out. Starting with you, spreading all about. Loving from the inside out. Starting with myself and someone else. Loving from the inside out. Starting with you, spreading all about.
Love